Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to see the Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 8, and Text 17. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopiyana Vallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astottara Satasisimaris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astottara Satasisimaris Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Siddhaidas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Tumuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Gauranga. Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Deva Swami Nityanamani. Namaste. Prabhupada Siddharthani. Sri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti. Narayana Namaskritya Narum Chevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Ashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naistiki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class from Canto 2 and Chapter 8, Text 17. Canto 2 is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 8 is questions by King Pariksit. So, text 17. Yugani yuga-mānaṁ dharmo yuge avatārānucaritaṁ āścaryatamaṁ hareḥ. Yugani yuga-mānaṁ dharmo yuge avatārānucaritaṁ āścaryatamaṁ hareḥ. Yugani yuga-mānaṁ dharmo yuge avatārānucaritaṁ āścaryatamaṁ hareḥ. Hare Krishna. Please chant.
Yugani yuga-mānaṁ cha dharmo yuge yuge avatārānucaritaṁ āścaryatamaṁ Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yugani yuga-mānaṁ cha dharmo yuge yuge avatārānucaritaṁ yad āścaryatamaṁ hareḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yugani yuga-mānaṁ cha dharmo yuge yuge avatārānucaritaṁ yad āścaryatamaṁ Hare. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? All right, so we do word for word now. Yugani, the different ages. Yuga-mānaṁ, the duration of each age. Cha, as well as. Dharma, the particular occupational duty. Ya, cha, and which. Yuge, in each and every yuga, the particular age. Avatara, the incarnation. Anucaritam, and the activities of the incarnation. Yat, which. āścaryatamaṁ, the most wonderful activities. Hare, of the Supreme Lord. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation, and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, although none different from him, are emanations from the Supreme. Maharaj Pariksit inquired from the great and learned sage Shukadeva Goswami about the different activities of such incarnations, so that the incarnation of the Lord might be confirmed by his activities in the authoritative scriptures. Maharaj Pariksit was not to be carried away by the sentiments of the common man to accept an incarnation of the Lord very cheaply. Instead, he wished to accept the incarnation of the Lord by symptoms mentioned in the Vedic literature and confirmed by an acharya like Shukadeva Goswami. The Lord descends by his internal energy without any obligation to the laws of material nature. And thus his activities are also uncommon. The specific activities of the Lord are mentioned, and one should know that the activities of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical due to being on the absolute plane. Thus, to hear the activities of the Lord means to associate with the Lord directly. And association with the Lord directly means purification from material contamination. We have already discussed this point in the previous volume. Om Gnati Mirandasya, Yana Gana Shalakaya, Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirveshesha Sunyavadi Paschathyari Sitayani. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Vachise Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. The translation again. Please explain all the different ages and the duration of the creation, and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. So these are direct questions. There are 3 questions in this text. And the first is about, well, to summarize, it's about the ages, the different ages. We know them as Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. We also know another point, the duration of each, just like Maharaj Pariksit was inquiring from Shukadeva Goswami. So you want to know all the different ages. We just mentioned them. And each duration, we'll get to that. Also, he says, tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. So when the Lord comes, what does he do? So, of course, those are very, very intelligent questions put by Maharaj Pariksit. This is questions about the material creation. What happens there, how it comes to be, who's controlling what do they do, how long, which is what we ask, how long the different ages last, and what happens there. Of course, these are questions. The text itself is about questions. So by, if you look at it from one sense, we could just preach about the questions only. We don't necessarily have to answer them, because Shukadeva Goswami will answer them because he was being asked those questions. So the text, the chapter coming, will have all the answers, but we'll just touch some of them. Not so much detail, because that will be given by Shukadeva Goswami, and the next chapter will explain those. So Srila Prabhupada didn't even elaborate anything on the ages themselves or how long it takes. He basically commented about the questions themselves that were being asked. And one, he said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed by Lord Brahma, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although none different from him, are emanating from him. And Srila Prabhupada gave an example, and it is a very, very appropriate example. We have an original candle. The candle is lit, so the candle is active. That's the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. Then from this candle, a whole number of candles of the same capacity, of the same size, therefore of the same energy, are also present. Now, when those ones are lit, that represents an expansion or incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, that second candle is of the same size, therefore it's of the same energy as the Lord. That second candle can now be used to light a third candle. And not in that way, one incarnation after another, or one expansion after another comes to being. So the personality of God, it is the original. There is a difference. The only difference is not the potency. Potency is the same, but the activities may change. In other words, if there's an incarnation, there has to be a reason why Krishna would come up with an incarnation anyway. And this is what Maharaj Pariksit wants to know. Tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations. So the potency is the same, but the activities would differ because the Lord wants to do different activities. Therefore, they come up with different incarnations. Now, for us, and my God sister early on in my devotee life described this very much to the point. She was saying that, yes, Krishna will expand. For us, if we want to do something, we just may change dress and go do that thing. We dress based on the occasion, the activity we want to perform. And the Lord can do that, but the Lord can do even more. The Lord can actually expand into a personality rather than just change clothes, a whole personality that does that particular thing. Because he has the power to do it in his own supreme will, he does things the way he wants to. So all the incarnations have specific things. For example, if he incarnates to Mahavishnu, then the pores of Mahavishnu are the places where the material energy, the universes, come out and become to be. He also establishes time. Krishna is the original personality. But Krishna, in his original personality, when he's around his devotees, he's not creating. He's just having fun with them, pastimes. But for different purposes, he would come up with a different incarnation. So my God sister explained it very nicely to me that because we're used to just, oh, well, I'm going to work, therefore I put on this dress. I'm going to a wedding, therefore I put on this other dress. I'm going to play baseball, therefore I put on this particular type of clothes for it and paraphernalia for it also. Like that. But the Lord can actually, by his own supreme will, have an incarnation for that purpose. So the potency never changes, but the activities that will change. He's the original personality of Godhead. So sometimes some people may hear from other sources, oh, they're all the same, and then they lump the demigods also at the same level as Krishna. That is never true. The demigods don't have the same capability as Krishna. In fact, whatever capability they have, it came from Krishna. Whatever they have, whatever opulence that's or control that they have over the material energy, that's all permitted by Krishna. As when Indra became a little puffed up, Indra is the king of heaven and is also responsible for the rains. And those in Vrindavan, the pure devotees of the Lord who are relating to Krishna in Vrindavan, used to also perform pujas to him every season for rain. And Krishna stopped it. He went into a debate with his father Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Maharaj listened to him and they stopped. And rather than offer all the foodstuffs and the puja, they did it to Govardhan Hill by Krishna's suggestion. And it was a very nice Govardhan puja. We still celebrate every year to remember the original Govardhan puja. Indra got very upset and decided to use the rain and the thunder to try to crush and kill all of the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna's pure devotees, as well as the animals, the cows. Well, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill and protected everyone, every living entity in Vrindavan. That way, he had them all come underneath the hill, and he held the hill with the smallest finger of his left hand. This is how great Krishna is. For 7 days and 7 nights. Indra realized there was no getting anywhere with his thunder and flooding and all of that. So finally he stopped. And then he went to apologize for what he had done. When he realized that was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he tried to do this too. When he apologized, Krishna's response was, "You are supposed to do the work that's given to you. That is all. It is through me that you got this position. So don't take, in one sense, in the manner of speaking, a bribe from the people. They got to do puja for you before you give them rains. The rains are not yours. You just a servant supplying rains." Hmm? How familiar that is. Sometimes government officials, especially in many countries outside of America, but especially countries in Africa and so on. And I grew up there, so I know what, and it turned me off like anything. Government official. You're applying for something, you take the paperwork that you complete it, and they want money too before they do it for you, even though they get paid for what they're doing. In other words, bribery. In one sense, Indra was so used to being given that attention in the puja that when Krishna stopped it, he got very upset. But he doesn't control things. Anyway, so to come back to this, Maharaj Pariksit, he inquired about the different activities of the incarnation. So first, he inquired about the different ages. As we said earlier, there is the golden age, which is called Satya Yuga. There is the silver age, that's called the Treta Yuga. There is the copper age, called the Dwapara Yuga. And then there's the iron age, which is called the Kali Yuga. So these 4 ages rotate. There's Satya Yuga, then Treta Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, then Kali Yuga, then again another Satya Yuga, then Treta Yuga. The whole process begins, a cycle. So what is the period of time for Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga? Well, that is 4,320,000 years. We'll try not to throw too many numbers out there because sometimes it is confusing. The numbers are all known, but every 4,320,000 years, the cycle begins again. So where are we sitting? Well, we are 5,000 years into the Iron Age, Kali Yuga. And that Kali Yuga is the most degraded of all of them. So anyway, the total age is called, the one I just mentioned, we just mentioned, 4,320,000 years. It's called a Divya Yuga. Divya Yuga. Now, Satya Yuga, of course, the whole thing, it's divided into four ages. So the entire thing, from a math standpoint, that's 100%. So the 100% is 4,320,000 years. All right, now Satya Yuga is 40% of it, of the 4,320,000 years. That's Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga is 30% of this 4 million. Dwapara Yuga is 20% of this Divya Yuga, 4,320,000. And then Kali Yuga is 10% of this Divya Yuga. So 40%, 30%, 20%, 10%. If you do the addition, 40 plus 30 is 70, 70 plus 20 is 90, and 90 plus 10 is 100. It's 100%. Now, if you do your math and you say 40%, so 40 over 100, and you multiply by that 4,320,000, then you're going to get exact years for Satya Yuga. Happens to be 1,728,000, but I will not belabor you with it. 40 for Satya, 40%. Treta Yuga is 30%. Dwapara Yuga is 20%. And Kali Yuga is 10%. You start at 40 and you go down 10, 10, 10, 10. And then the Divya Yuga is 4,320,000 years. So you can do the math to see each individual one, what it is like. Mm-hmm. Now, in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, text 33. So there is times when the Lord, for each age, appears. Mm-hmm. Vasudeva and Devaki, we know quite well in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. They're the ones to whom Krishna decided to take his birth. But in the previous birth, in the previous age, this age we're talking about, Vasudeva and Devaki, that was in the 20% side, which is towards the end of Dwapara Yuga. Then Krishna came. But he came also in Satya Yuga, he came in Treta Yuga, he came in Dwapara Yuga, which is the one we're talking about, Vasudeva and Devaki, and he also came in Kali Yuga. And they have different names, he has different colors, and they have different activities. So Vasudeva and Devaki were actually the same people in the previous birth as Sutapa and Prishni. They underwent severe type of penance. They wanted the Lord as their son. And as a result of that, the Lord appeared. Hayagriva, white in complexion. So all of these will be explained in great detail by Shukadeva Goswami. Now, Canto 11, Chapter 5, Text 29, talks about the character of people in different ages. So that may be a little more interesting to us. In Satya Yuga, that's the best time. The golden age. Some people in different religions before they came to Krishna consciousness may have even heard of it. Golden age. The people of Satya Yuga are described as Shanta, Nevara, Suhrida, and Sama. What does that mean? They are peaceful. Shanta is peace. Shanti is peace. Peaceful. They are not envious. They are free from envy. They are well-wishers of every living entity, and they are fixed on the spiritual platform beyond the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Wouldn't it be nice to live like that? Satya Yuga, to have everybody be peaceful, non-envious, well-wishers of every living entity, not only humans only, but every living entity, and fixed on the spiritual platform. So Satya Yuga is the best age in the material world. It's also the longest. 40% of the 4,320,000 years. Now, the people of Treta Yuga, when Treta comes, a little bit of the negativity begins to set in. But still, there are good qualities. So we'll describe just the good qualities. They are described as Dharmista and Brahma Vadina. They are karmic, thoroughly religious, and they also follow the Vedic injunctions to the T. That's the positive of those in Treta Yuga. The 30% of the 4 million of the Divya Yuga, 4,320,000. That's the way people are. Now, while we are at it, we're showing that the people of Satya Yuga, Golden Age, they live to be 100,000. 100,000 years. The people of Treta Yuga, take 1 0 off, they live to be 10,000 years. Now, the people of Dwapara Yuga, again, there's more religious activity setting in, but we'll just stay only with the positive side of where things are in those ages. So, the people of Dwapara Yuga are said to be simply Gigyasava, desiring to know the absolute truth. Otherwise, well, they are subject to the weakness of mortal beings. More things come out that are negative in Dwapara Yuga. Still, Krishna is present. Now, So human society in Dwapara Yuga, basically their character is a little inferior to that of the Satya and Treta Yugas. They are inferior. So we can imagine Kali Yuga, how truly disastrous the condition of human society is. Now, I don't need to tell you we're in Kali Yuga now. You know, if you just listen a little bit to what's going on, even just watch a few clips, just scroll through the clips, not even watch it in YouTube. It just shows just how off people are. The illusion is huge. The cheating is huge. And then our minds are not so wonderful. We don't really remember much. We don't remember much. The illusion is thick, and it's only 5,000 years out of 10% of 4,320,000. 10% is just drop 1 0. 432,000 years. We are only 5,000 years into it, and look at the way things are now. People are godless. They don't know their left from their right, but they don't really care. They don't respect each other. People take advantage of each other. As Srila Prabhupada describes it, is a world of the cheaters and the cheated. And the cheaters and the cheated, they go even to religion. People are using religion to come up with all kinds of things. And now that this particular platform, YouTube, allows anyone without any restriction, anybody that cheats can come on there and make a video and say, I am like this, or this is like that, and that's like this. Even when it comes to medicines, people are selling, as they say in America, snake oil. Oh, it does this for you. It does that for you. Then they come up with all kinds of stories among their family members. My grandmother, this, that happened to my uncle, this. And it was this particular medicine that worked for them. And therefore, it will be wonderful. But you know what? It takes time. It's natural medicine. It takes time to work. Therefore, if you get only 1 bottle, you're not giving it enough time to work. So you got to get about 5 bottles or 6 bottles, and we'll give you a discount. This is all, it's all going on. And you get sucked into it and buy it. The next thing you know, but they said it wasn't going to work right away, so 2 months, 3 months, and you keep quaffing that thing down, and it's not doing anything for you. Or if it doesn't work, we'll give you your money back. You try it. So that's Kali Yuga. That's Kali Yuga. That's just one aspect of it in Kali Yuga. So, His Holiness Govinda Maharaj explained in one of his lectures that devotees have to do one thing. It's a very important thing. He always stressed it. Yes, we are in Kali Yuga, but devotees Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhupada.
Okay. Yeah, my main computer was somehow something happened that I got bumped up. So now I'm using my cell phone. So if you don't see my face, don't worry about it. At least you can hear me.
Recording in progress.
Please hang on. Speaking about God, then so you can add things. Things are not perfect either. You just got the example of that. Things aren't perfect in Kayuga.
I had the same problem too just now. I lost it too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, yeah, it just kind of rearranged itself. So, just please give me a second here because I have to pin myself before I can go on. Okay, now, all right. So, interrupted. So, Kali, you guys like that. Gogovina Maharaj says we have to live like those in Satya Yuga. Be peaceful. And there's a formula for peace. That's the last text in chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. Peaceful, it says, the peaceful. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam savalokam heshwaram sridam savabhutanam. Those are the three. Bhoktaram yagyatapasa. We have to know that Krishna is the beneficiary of all sacrifices and all austerities. He's the beneficiary, which means the person that understands it that way, that Krishna is the beneficiary, which means they will do austerities and they will do all kinds of pujas to Krishna. The person has decided that's who I go to for all of these, for satisfying Krishna's senses. Sarvalokam Maheshwaram, that he is in fact the supreme controller of all that be, spiritual and material worlds. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, he is the well-wisher of every living entity. In fact, those in Satya Yuga, they live like that. So, Yatmamam Shantim Vishchati. A person that thinks that way is peaceful and free from all of the craziness around that person. The mind is set on Krishna consciousness. Therefore, they are peaceful for that reason. So we have to live the Kali Yuga lifestyle. Satya Yuga lifestyle in this Kali Yuga, which means that we're going to go against the grain. People are living a certain way, and they are going down, in mentality, in activity, and in trouble that they cause each other. And the devotees may see this, but we shouldn't play into it. As Govinda Maharaj advises us, we should live like those that were living in Satya Yuga at the material level. And then, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we have been given the opportunity not only to know Krishna, but develop love for Krishna. That's what the Hare Krishna mantra does. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. If we chant individually, our japa, and if we chant congregationally, we will develop love of God here. Srila Prabhupada says in one of his lectures that many people didn't even understand Krishna, and many people still don't. But Lord Chaitanya is so merciful, he didn't even consider the fact that many people don't understand Krishna. He still gave the way to develop love of Krishna. So that's just almost like jumping the gun. People don't know Krishna yet, but he started us chanting, just chant anyway. But the chanting connects us to Krishna and makes us develop that emotional feeling of love towards Krishna. And then, of course, if you love someone, you begin to understand, or you make it a point to know what they like and read about them and hear about them. So he's trying to make us connect with loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which also happens to be the aim of every devotee. The aim of a devotee is Krishna Prema, how to love God. The other day, my god sister asked me a question that he thought that my spiritual master has defined what a bona fide religion is. And I still told her that I don't know our own Guru Maharaj's definition of bona fide religion, but I remember what Srila Prabhupada said about bona fide religion. He had said it quite a few times. The bona fide religion is the one that teaches how to know God and how to love Him. These two. Any religion that teaches how to know God and how to love Him, that's a bona fide religion. Mm-hmm. Now, how many people come to that? Now, how many religious institutions get to that point? Many people are just demanding things material from the Lord. You don't love that way. You may appreciate His power, but you don't get to love Him that way. Because now you think about your own self. People who demand those kind of things, they want for their own sense gratification. And Srila Prabhupada says so many times, Krishna feeds the birds and the beasts and all of those and the reptiles, and none of them praise to Krishna for anything. They don't. But they get their food supply and their needs met. So why does a human being who has intelligence way higher than these have to ask for something that even those who are lower in consciousness than a human being don't ask and they get anyway? In other words, it's a waste of time to be asking for material things from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is always better to ask through the spiritual master how to be a better devotee, what things to do to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. If you serve the Lord only and you downplay your activities with devotees, you are at the third class level, Kanishta. It's called a materialistic devotee. Devotees should be taken seriously in terms of how we relate to them. The highest way of relating to devotees is to relate at the level that we relate to the spiritual master. The same intensity of service should be given to devotees as is given to the spiritual master. Of course, the activities itself, the specific things may change, but the mood behind it should be like I'm serving my guru. Anytime you relate to a devotee. So, so that's the different ages, and this is where we'll stop as far as describing this. But those of you who've been coming steadily, then we know that I'm actually, by the mercy of my guru, explaining a few things, the realizations, very, very practical realizations from the Avadut Brahman. So we'll say a few more points about Avadut Brahman, and that'll be the last. This one, we may be getting, if we have time, two of the realizations of the Avadut Brahman, but at least one. This is not a thing that's talked about so much. People don't even think about it so much, even though we know it's all around us. Prostitution. The Avadut Brahman learned from a prostitute. He learned from everything, practically, around us. So this particular prostitute is named in the Shastra, is called Pingala. And so King Yadu was hearing from Avadut Brahman. So Avadut Brahman says, in the city of Videha, there was a prostitute called Pingala. Now you hear, King Yadu, from me, what I've learned from that lady. Of course, what do prostitutes do? They try to bring a lover, client into the house. And what do? They usually go out. Usually it's nighttime. And usually they dress very provocatively, showing parts of their bodies that are sexually stimulating, like that. So she was no different. But she was really quite desperate to get money. So this prostitute was in his anxiety, of course, he was outside, stood on the street at night and looking at all the men, and trying to make some eye contact with them. And she's thinking, oh, this one, the way he's dressed, yeah, he has money. I know he can pay the price, and I'm sure he would enjoy my company very much. Still, she's there. She's thinking about all the men in the street. Hmm? So as she stood in the doorway of the house, which is right to the street, hmm, many men came. They went. They walked by the house. Now, by the way, the only means of sustenance, she had no part-time job, anything else, just prostitution. So it was very, very, as the men come and look at her and leaving and coming, nobody's wanting to come to the house. She's getting more and more and more in anxiety. Oh, this one is, why is he not stopping? I'm sure someone else will come. This one is coming now. Maybe he'll pay me for my love. Hmm? And he'll probably give lots of money. So all of these go into his mind. Hmm? Now, he stood there, stood there, stood there. Men came, they went. Nobody volunteered. They knew she was a prostitute. Now, close to midnight, he hasn't gotten one client yet. Hmm? It came to midnight, past midnight. Hmm? So after that, the emotions changed from looking forward to these men who were coming, stopping, and relating sexually to her for money. They're not doing it, so she became very morose, and the face just began to dry up. So being filled with anxiety for money and then most disappointed, slowly her emotions began to change. Now he felt a great detachment from her situation. And when she felt some detachment from what she was doing, she began to feel a little happy in her mind. Hmm? So now the prostitute felt disgusted with her material situation and became indifferent to it, didn't care. Indeed, as Sri Prabhupada explains, detachment acts like a sword and it cuts into pieces all of these binding network of material hopes and material desires, as we call lamentation and hankering. So the prostitute composed a song just to satisfy herself. And the words of the song was describing her situation. It doesn't give what the melody for the song is, but at least it'll talk about how, the words that he used when she became detached. So this prostitute Pingala said, just see how greatly illusioned I am. Because I can't control my mind, just like a fool, I desire lusty pleasure from an insignificant man. I'm such a fool that I've given up the service of that person who, being eternally situated within my heart, meaning the Paramatma, is actually most dear to me. And this is the reason. He hit it right, the nail right on the head. The Paramatma is in our hearts because of his love for us. We have come to this jail, but the Paramatma has come with us only because he loves us and wants to give us a chance to go back to our original place. This is what the Paramatma's duty is, that on his own does for us. So Pingala is talking about that. I've given up the service of the person who, being eternally situated in my heart, is actually most dear to me. And then he defines it. The most dear one is the Lord of the universe, who is the bestower of real love and happiness. And he's also the source of all prosperity. So you see, now she's getting it. She's standing outside trying to think that she's going to prosper from illicit sex with these men. And now she realizes it's the Paramatma that actually can give me prosperity. So although he's talking, and actually singing, although he's in my heart, I have completely neglected him. And instead of doing it, I have ignorantly served insignificant men. He's talking about his clients who can never satisfy my real desires and who have simply brought me unhappiness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion. And many people don't think about this, but prostitutes are very fearful. Because if you let a man in your house, and most of these men are stronger than the women, you don't know what they're like. You don't know what diseases they carry. You don't know what their mood is like. And he's going to relate to you like that. It's very fearful. Very, very, very fearful. It's not hard to figure that out. So just for money. So now Pingala has disconnected herself mentally from the situation. And now he's saying, how uselessly I've tortured my own soul. I've sold my body to lusty, greedy men who are themselves objects of pity. He says, I've sold myself to pitiful men. And he's right, she's right. So practicing the most abominable professions of a prostitute, I hope to get money and sex pleasure. Hmm? The material body, listen to this. It's like a house in which I, the soul, am living. The bones forming my spine and the ribs and arms and legs are like the beams and the cross beams and the pillars of the house, which is the body. And the whole structure, which is full of, then he went into talking about what it is, stool and urine, is covered by skin, hair, and nails. And these 9 doors leading to this body are constantly excreting foul substances. There are 9, Bhagavatam describes in different places also. 9 gates. Nose, ears, and eyes, and so on, and then the genitals. So, besides me, what woman could be so foolish as to devote herself to this material body, thinking that she might find pleasure and love in this contraption, after she describes it the way she describes it? So he really came to his senses. So certainly in this city of Videha, I alone am completely foolish. I neglected the Supreme Personality of Godhead who awards everything, even in our original spiritual form, and instead, I desire to enjoy sense gratification with many men. So she's lamenting about how foolish she has been, but in that lamentation, she's also teaching us what is right for our soul and why we should disconnect from the material energy. She came to this realization because Krishna literally blessed her with a difficult situation, because if she had gotten men coming to her and sleeping with her that night, she wouldn't have thought that way. She would still think in terms of the material and how much money she would get, and she would size up people, or this one is rich and they ask for more money and so on. But since Krishna made it possible for her not to have any that night, she began to think. And as soon as she said, what am I doing? Immediately became happier, and she realized, I have to get away from this profession and literally look at material life much, much, much more differently. Now, we may not be prostitutes, but we think that way also. How we can squeeze something from the material energy to get more and more and more money, and in the process, neglecting food for the soul. This is going on. And men are getting more and more confused. The other day, Sri Papa was talking about, since people eat the flesh of animals, the cow, the bull, supporting the business that kill the cow, then we pay the price for it. Wars. So this is Papa describing, this is the reason why wars happen. Because people are just nonchalant. They still become alive. You just go to the store and buy it. But they know that as they buy this meat, somebody killed the animal, and you supported that business by buying, and therefore they'll kill more animals. And if you kill animals, you pay for it. There will be sinful reaction, killing. And that's what happens during wars. So some people may be thinking, but wars are fought by soldiers. Yes, that's true. So why is it that people have gotten to this point where now people who are defenseless, they are not soldiers, even they get bombed? And that too early in the morning, when they are the most vulnerable. Between 2 and 3, they get bombed like that. All of a sudden, you have to get up and you have to run because the siren is going off. Those are in the war zones are like that. Siren goes up very loud at any time, it just wakes you up, and they all know what it means. Rush down to a basement somewhere, and whatever things you can grab, and then hope that it wasn't your building that got a missile bombed. And those of us that are living in the countries that this is not happening to us, we can't act like an ostrich and put our heads in the sand and say, oh, well, I'm all right. It's not happening here. To the extent that it's happening on the planet, it's affecting all of us. If it can happen someplace, it can happen other places too. There hasn't been one war in one place forever. No, there have been many wars in different places. So what makes us think that it can't come some other place and affect us? And what is it like to live in that kind of situation when your neighborhood becomes a war zone? But don't the neighborhoods become war zones already? The situation is like that. Don't people have guns? Don't people do carjackings? Don't people break into other people's houses? Don't people stop people and mock them and steal their money? It's already going on. So if we say that we're comfortable, I don't know. We're acting like Pingala. But Pingala has come to her realization that no, this is no place to live. So she changed her mind. She said, with devotion, the very thing Srila Prabhupada is saying to do, bhakti, I accept the great benefit that the Lord has bestowed upon me, having given up my sinful desires for ordinary sense gratification. And I like the way he put ordinary sense gratification. There's nothing in it. Sense gratification is like breadcrumbs. When the cake is actually in the spiritual world, we're having breadcrumbs here, and we think it's great. So having given up my simple desires for ordinary sense gratification, I now take shelter of him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she says, now I'm completely satisfied, and I have full faith in the Lord's mercy. And I will maintain myself with whatever comes of its own accord. And I shall enjoy life only with the Lord because he is the real source of love and happiness. And with that, Pingala went back in the house and never bothered with that profession, so-called profession anymore. So, yes, Sukadeva Goswami is inquiring, is answering Maharaj Parikshit's question about the creation. And now towards the end, we see Pingala is saying, yes, I was just with these useless people who are losers themselves, wanting sense gratification for my body, and I was only going after material sense gratification when the Lord is in my heart with a better program for me to go back. And now she changed her mind. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And I apologize for going a little long this time since it's already 9 o'clock. But please unmute yourself and whatever realizations you want to share, please do. And want to ask questions, please do that also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, O Krishna Prabhupada. I think the conclusion, of course, there are points mentioned in the class that was very important. I think the conclusion point was even more powerful with Pingala. Sometimes we are standing at the door of the material world, waiting for enjoyment, waiting for temporary happiness, waiting for temporary fulfillment, temporary everything, and we get disappointed. And we don't realize that we're getting disappointed, but we do it anyway, and because we just think one day it's not going to be a disappointment. And then we get disappointed, and then we forget to open the other door, which is the door to the spiritual world where Krishna is waiting for us, where we will not get disappointed. That is the one that lasts forever. So I was just thinking how each one of us, and speaking for myself too, standing at the door of the material world, waiting for someone to fulfill our desires, and waiting for ways for us to fulfill our desires. So that was what was coming to my mind when you were speaking about the Pingala pastime. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and we do that. It's called a resume. We finish the job, we finish the school, and then we knock on the doors of people who have businesses. Please hire me, please hire me. You don't want to know what your Prabhupada says about that. In fact, you might feel bad because a lot of people do that. That's how we open the doors here. I want to work for you and so on. It's shooter mentality. Srila Prabhupada is not in favor of that. That's why when he started, look what he did. Printed books and had devotees think in terms of doing things on your own. There was a company in Japan, publishing company, that was going to print Bhagavad Gita. But it didn't take long. Srila Prabhupada made the devotees begin to think in terms of doing from scratch the entire thing. Now we have the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. They have printing presses. Bhakti Godhead magazine is produced directly by them. The books from Srila Prabhupada are produced directly by them. So they take charge of their own. Warehouses are there and they distribute on their own. So they're not doing the shooter mentality or just get somebody else to do it for you. No, they're doing it on their own. Srila Prabhupada instilled in them that mood of taking charge of things that are supposed to happen to keep the Brihad Mridanga, as he says, the great Mridanga that beats around the whole world. That is Srila Prabhupada's books being distributed, and ISKCON produces the books themselves. This is a wonderful, wonderful, again, vision that Srila Prabhupada had. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? If not, then we'd like to thank you all for coming on today. And I hope we had a very wonderful, in their minds, Sri Krishna Janmashtami, and also yesterday's program, very nice Srila Prabhupada Appearance Day celebration. And take on the same mood of Krishna consciousness, seriousness in Krishna consciousness for the rest of the week and the weeks to come. Hare Krishna. Vanchakapatarubhascha kripa sindhibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious week. Hare Krishna.